What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video, and like I promised, this is a report for 10,000 kilometers because I have surpassed 10,000 kilometers. I've did the 10k service, and a report on Fred, my Zontes 350e that I've been running since February. It's currently November, so close to 10 months. And yeah, I'm gonna ride into work and we're gonna talk about all the pluses and the minuses and everything I've learned from owning him for about 8 to 9 months and riding him. For the past 3 months, I've ridden him on the daily. I've done road trips on him, long distance touring, cannonballing, shopping, traffic, everything. So we're gonna talk about it. I do have a couple of pointers here on my phone just so I don't forget my ideas, and yeah, I'm gonna get straight into it. So point number 1, comfort and what it's like to ride. In terms of comfort, as you can see, it's a very big scooter. It's a comfortable scooter. You have tons of space on the seat. Your pillion has tons of space on the passenger seat. The passenger foot pegs are nice and comfortable. They are rubber coated, so the passenger doesn't feel any vibrations. You do get a big fairing up front that protects you from the elements. You can raise your screen up high and you're completely shielded from the wind. In terms of comfort, there are very few things I can say bad about it. What would it be? Maybe I would like my legs a little bit more inwards, but then again, that's how you get a 16.5-liter fuel tank. So comfort is extremely good. You can easily find a great riding position. Also, the handlebar is adjustable. You can pull it back towards you if you're a little bit shorter. So that's good enough. Comfort, okay, I have nothing to say bad about the comfort. In terms of city riding, it is a little bit big, it is a little bit bulky, but once you get used to it, and with the power you have on tap with 37 horsepower in the motor, you can easily get through traffic. As soon as you see a gap, you just go for it. Power is instant, torque is instant, the response of the transmission is very good, very little belt slip, even when you give it full throttle from a dead stop. The entire driveline is extremely responsive and really helps you get around the city very quickly. Even though it is bulky, you can take advantage of every single little gap. And although the front fairing is very big, the handlebars and the mirrors are not that wide. You can actually fit it through some pretty tight spaces. In terms of touring, as some of you may know, I've ridden this thing from Bucharest to Athens. That's 1,250 kilometers in 13 hours. It was a cannonball run, and yeah, it's very good for touring. Fuel consumption was about a little bit under 5 liters per 100 kilometers. Average speed, total average speed was about 100 kilometers an hour with stops and everything. It could easily maintain 130, 140 kilometers an hour on the highway without any kind of issue and get around 300 kilometers of range at that speed. Now, the tank is 16 liters. This thing can go 400 to 500 kilometers on a tank, but you have to ride it a little bit more gentle. I wasn't riding gently. I was trying to get to Athens as fast as possible, so I was pretty much flat out the whole way, and I could easily maintain a cruising speed of about 140 kilometers an hour. In terms of comfort, I got to Athens without any kind of backaches or nothing hurt. When I got to Athens, I was extremely comfortable. Nothing hurt. I didn't feel tired. And then 2 days later, I rode him back again in 13 hours. So 2 cannonball runs back to back. Not an issue. Comfort is good. Its touring abilities are extremely good. I've also done tours with a pillion on the back, with the misses on the back. Most that we did was about 13 hours on the road, 10 hours of riding, about 600 and a bit kilometers covered. We were pretty knackered because both me and her, we were kind of how should I put it, round. We're a bit round, both of us, and yeah, we fit on it, but if you need a little bit more of a skinny girlfriend to really be completely comfortable. But yeah, even us, with our weight, and our weight combined adds up to 200 kilograms. We could easily tour on the highway, in the mountains. This thing could easily hold 130 kilometers an hour on the highway with both of us on him. It's perfect for touring if you want to go single riding, if you want to go two-up riding. It would easily tour if you live in a city that you have decently sized roads, then you can easily get around with it in the city. Next, storage spaces. You have two cubby holes here, you have one cubby hole here. I put a top case on the back, a 45-liter top case. You have underseat storage for two helmets. I've taken this thing shopping and I'm doing all of my errands around the city with this thing for the past 3 months. Never have I lacked space. It has a ton of storage space, and I like the fact that with the keyless system, this left-hand pocket locks when you lock the scooter. Only the right-hand pocket remains unlocked. So if you have valuable stuff like a wallet or anything, you just remember to put it in the left pocket, and if you forget in the scooter, then don't worry about it because it's locked when you lock it. Whoa, stop, dude. That car almost rear-ended me for not paying attention. Now, fuel consumption. Over the past 10,000 kilometers, I've kept an average fuel consumption for the entire distance covered, and it works out to... You know what? Let me actually find it. So it's 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Currently, the fuel consumption is at 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Now in the city, riding normally in the cold temperatures, it's kind of going up to about 5 liters per 100 kilometers, but in the summer it went even below 4.5. So you can get a rough average for fuel consumption at 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Real world, normal people riding, not riding economically, not caring about fuel consumption. That's what this thing will do. In terms of looks, the way it's held out, well, I wasn't too eager to wash him, so I'm not one of those people that washes their scooter or motorcycle every single day. But the scooter looks good. All of the buttons still have all the writing on them. None of the fairings, none of the plastics have begun to get that white tint to them because as plastics get old. I don't keep him covered at night or during the daytime. He doesn't have a cover. He sleeps outside in the parking lot, so out in the elements, and everything seems okay. The windscreen isn't scratched. I did put a screen protector on the dashboard on the TFT display, so that thing looks okay. Everything looks great. It did take a bit of a tumble on its left side. Granted, it wasn't moving. Somebody was on it and tried to put it on the side stand and missed the side stand and fell over. And yeah, it kind of took it well. A bit of scraping here and there, but nothing much, nothing broke. I didn't have to fix anything. It took the hit like a proper scooter and didn't come apart when it hit the ground. So I really love to see that. In terms of technology, tire pressure sensor still working. The rear one is sometimes a little bit lazy. It takes a little bit longer than the front one to connect to the dash. What else? In terms of connectivity with your phone, yeah, I don't use the dash thing. I think it's complete shit, and I don't recommend anyone start using it. What I do use is my copyright system that also has cameras, as you can see. I think it's a much better system than the one integrated in the dash. It's seamless to use, connects to Android and Apple. If you want one, check out the link down below. There's an affiliate link to Copyright. They are sponsors of the channel. I highly recommend them. I've been using them for over a year on many of my vehicles, and yeah, much better than the thing installed on the dash. And you can ask anyone who owns a Zontes, the way you connect to the display is a total hassle, and it's a bitch. And you kind of don't want to do it every single time you start the scooter. It takes about 5 minutes to connect to the display, and you have to do it every single time you put the ignition on. So yeah, no thank you, I won't be using it. But otherwise, in terms of the keyless system, has been working flawlessly. The tire pressure sensors are working good. The front one perfectly. The rear one is a little bit lazy, but I don't know if it's the problem with the dash or the sensor itself. But yeah, it's working. It's just a little bit lazy every time I start it up. It takes a little bit longer to update. And in terms of technology, that's kind of it. No glitches in the LCDs, in the buttons, in the electric seat popper, electric fuel popper. I didn't feel anything. Yeah, no issues at all. No crud in the buttons making them not work, at least for me. I know if you leave them long out in the elements unused, crud will get into these buttons, and they're not
what you gonna do?
Not the most resilient of buttons. We had a couple of units that came into the showroom, into the service department, that basically just needed the buttons cleaning. So yeah, be mindful of that and take care of them. If you don't ride it on the daily, cover it up, take care of your buttons, do something about it, because crud will get in them and they are susceptible to failing a little bit until they are cleaned, and when they're cleaned they start working again. What's next on the list? Tires. So I am still on the stock CST tires. They have 10,200 kilometers. How cute is that? So they have 10,000 kilometers on them. The front one is okay. The rear one is about 70% worn. Granted, about half of that distance was done at high speed on the highway with the passenger on the back. So yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with big maxi scooters. I'm not too happy with how much the rear tire has worn, and now that cold temperatures have arrived, let me tell you, it is a little bit slick. Now it's okay. When it's dry outside, it's okay. But as soon as it gets a little bit wet outside, yeah, you are very thankful for the fact that this thing has traction control, because it's very easy to spin up the rear tire in cold, wet conditions, especially on this rear tire. It's a little bit worn. It's not of the best quality. It's a CST tire. It gets the job done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I went to Athens and back cannonballing, and the thing didn't bat an eye. So, yeah, it can do the job, but you gotta be mindful when it's cold and wet and damp outside. The tires are a little bit slippery. Next, what did we see when we did the 10,000 kilometer service? Well, we did the oil change for the engine and for the transmission, and I've switched completely to Motul engine oil, scooter power, because it's kind of the highest grade oil I could find, and I really like Motul, and I've been using Motul in Brutus. I've used in the past Motul in a lot of my scooters, so I know some people hate Motul or don't like Motul, but I have great experience with them, and yeah, I'm gonna keep using them because I think they make a quality product. Also, I've switched to Motul HD transmission oil for the transmission, ATW90, the way the spec says, Zontes spec says, and let me tell you, it feels great. At least the transmission, even when it's cold, you can get going. You don't feel like the scooter is held up. With some transmission oils in the early morning when it's very cold, you can feel the transmission has an oil that's a little bit thick in it, and you kind of have to get it to warm up, and you can feel like every time you take your hand off the throttle, the engine brake is a little bit more severe. It kind of feels like one of your calipers is stuck on, and as soon as the oil heats up, it starts to loosen up. But ever since I switched to Motul HD ATW90, I'm happy with it. Also, the engine oil seems to be doing a very good job. The engine feels a little bit more peppy and I don't know, a little bit more refined, sounds a little bit more refined, and I really love that. In terms of air filters, so we took off the air filters, and they were shit. There's no other word to describe them. I mean, the transmission filter was okay-ish, but the engine filter, the engine air intake filter, was full of crud and muck, and it had residue from the breather system that puts oil back into the intake to like excess oil fumes that come out of the top of the crankcase, blow by basically, or actually not blow by, because if it had blow by it would be very, very bad for the engine. But you have oil vapors in the top of the engine that need to ventilate, and they ventilate them into the intake. And some of that oil gets on the filter, and then all of the crud and the dirt and everything piles up on the filter and basically makes the filter look black and completely covered in crud. But it was still doing its job. On the backside it was clean, so it was still filtering the air, and I really like to see that, the fact that the air filter, even though it looked like shit, it was still doing its job. But yeah, at 10,000 kilometers, definitely do not skip a filter change. Change both filters. The oil filter, of course, change it every time you change your oil. And your scooter should run fine. I mean, honestly, with the air filters, I kind of would recommend changing the air filters every time you change the oil at 5,000 kilometers. They're not that expensive, and yeah, considering how mine look at 10,000, I think the next one is going to be changed, or at least checked, at 5,000 kilometers. In terms of transmission wear, the belt only had about half a mil of wear to it. So we blew out all the dust from inside the transmission, and that's it. She was good to go. And that's about it. And since I blew out the transmission, kind of the belt screech that I have at low speeds, I started having at low speeds, it kind of went away. So yeah, it says in the manual every 10,000 kilometers to clean out the transmission, not necessarily service it, but check your belt, check the wear on the pulleys, and also blow out all the dust from inside the transmission. And I did that, and the scooter's running perfectly. No horrible surprises at 10,000 kilometers. Everything was still okay. Everything was still in spec. The spark plug was in spec. The valve, it didn't need a valve adjustment. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Apart from the very dirty engine air filter, yeah, everything was a-okay and not a problem. And you know, once you get the manual out and see how everything is done, it's not that difficult to service yourself. The covers on the side of the transmission may be a little bit intimidating at first, but you know, they're not all that bad, and they're not all that hard to take off once you know the correct procedure. Now, before I go into the office, I still have three or four pointers I have to go through. One of which is we're gonna have to stop here because I am gonna get off the scooter. So I'm gonna put it on its center stand. Next, wear and tear. First of all, grips. Unfortunately, the grips have worn out. They are heated. Word of warning, if you're used to Oxford heated grips, these do not get as hot as Oxford heated grips. So you might want your Oxfords back, but yeah, they do a decent enough job, but they wore out very, very quickly. Now, I'm still going to keep them to about 25,000 kilometers, but after 10,000 kilometers, they look like this. Honestly, I am not all that impressed with the quality. I might try to see if I can adapt Oxford heated grips to work with this controller they have. That might be interesting to do. But yeah, for now, the grips, yeah, they look, you can see the wear and tear on them, even though they have just 10,000 kilometers on them. The seat, on the other hand, remember, it's had a passenger on the back half of its life. It's had my fat ass on the back. It's had a lot of people test riding it. The seat is absolutely perfect. It should be a gel seat. I can feel no holes in it. It's just as comfortable as on the first day. It's just as firm as on the first day. Now I can see just a little bit of hairline here from my weight, but yeah, seat is absolutely perfect. The cover is one piece, so when it rains, water doesn't get into it. If you have a wet seat, all you have to do, take a cloth over it, and then you're good to go. Jump on it. You won't have water coming out of the seat and ruining your pants. Now, technical issues. What problems have I had with him? None-ish. So none-ish. If you don't know what none-ish means, well, it basically means that I haven't had any issues. Nothing was repaired on it. But now that it's cold and it's kind of always raining and wet outside, the front headlight does a thing. I don't think it'll do it now, but these are the daytime running lights. When I put low beams, yeah, see, now they turned on. Sometimes when I put the low beams on, they flicker, and I have to give it high beams once, and then take it off, and then they're good. Like I said, sometimes. I don't know what the problem is, but it started when the rain started. And like I said, I don't keep him covered. He sleeps outside, in the rain, in the cold. No kind of protection whatsoever. In case the problem gets worse, of course the headlight is gonna get changed under warranty, because this thing has warranty, and Zontes really does stand by their warranty. So let's turn it off and give it a bit of a rest. The Zontes 350E Fred, as I call him, after 10,000 kilometers. Do I regret anything? No. I don't regret anything. I bought him specifically to be my long distance tourer. Now he's currently doing daily work because Donnie is still not fixed, but hopefully in a couple of days you might see him on the channel. I don't know yet, but yeah, work is gonna start on Donnie. So I bought him as my touring machine. He has proven himself on the way to Athens and back. He is extremely capable at covering ground extremely fast and in a lot of comfort, and that's why I wanted him. When I want to go to events and shows and everything, and I have the time to ride there, I want to do it on something that's quick and comfortable, because usually I don't have a lot of free time off work. So if I want to do road trips, they better be quick. And around the city, he's doing a great job. He has a lot of storage space. Fuel consumption is quite decent. Fuel tank gives it a very good range. Price is unbeatable. So yeah, I don't regret anything. No, I wouldn't have liked the ADV 350 from Honda, the ADX 300 from Sim, the ADX TG again from Sim wouldn't do this kind of thing. The XMAX 300 doesn't have as much storage space and as much leg room, doesn't have the adjustable windscreen, doesn't have the heated grips. On the market for what I needed, there was no other options of a maxi scooter in the 3400cc class that came with everything that I wanted, looked good, and had all the amenities that I wanted in terms of storage space, in terms of rider comfort, in terms of size, in terms of everything. So yeah, I don't regret buying Fred one bit. I am still gonna keep him. He's not for sale, and he's gonna remain part of the fleet for a very, very long time. In terms of the electrical gremlins, I am going to keep an eye on them. I know that people are worried about them. I myself am worried about them. So yeah, in terms of electrical stuff, keyless system, all of the buttons, all of the LEDs and stuff like that, I am gonna be keeping an eye on them and updating you guys as to how they hold out. In terms of engine, the engine and transmission are very strong. In terms of mechanical, from what I can see and what I explored, the mechanicals are top-notch on the Zontes. They will last a long time. The transmission belt says it should be changed every 20,000 kilometers. I think we can go quite a bit over 20,000 kilometers, but we'll see in the next two services how it goes. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this video answers a lot of your questions. I'm gonna get my ass into work because I am a little bit late, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until next time, guys, take care out there and ride safe. Bye.